Masterclass. Hello, Janavi, are you here? I thought you lost somewhere in the social media scroll.
No, the lost project. You're always lost.
Why so?
Because the name.
Okay. So what are we discussing today?
So we're discussing social media
Hmm.
and design as a whole in terms of branding and what it means to actually build a brand
Okay.
and not just like sell a product online. So you have a very rich experience of let's say 22 years. So
Okay.
what do you think, how has design evolved in all these years?
Over the years, I think design has evolved everywhere. Design has evolved in a drastic way because of the media. New media is coming in.
Yeah.
I think 20 years, say, or 15, 20 years back, the medias were very limited.
Mm.
So, and they were very traditional because they have been into existence for more than 100 years or
Mm.
more than 75 years around. So the communication on those medias were very different than what the new media would expect. And with new media coming in, uh, it is now gone from one to many to one to one. So that's how the difference in terms of even talking or even communicating
So one
to
to
the.
one, as in what are you saying?
So if you take traditional media, it would be like a hoarding or a newspaper, which once you print it, once you put it, it talks to thousands and lakhs of people. So the communication is very broad in
Yeah.
that aspect. Now, the new media of technology, which is mobile phone screens, tablets, YouTube media, and so on. What is coming is it is now one to one. If something that attracts me, I would be the audience for it.
Okay.
So that's how it's like now targeting an individual to his taste, to his liking, to his preference. That's how it's there.
Okay. So I think with social media, it's also like what you're communicating to attract, to also decide what kind of target audience you want,
Hmm.
and that's how you communicate. Also, that's how
Yeah,
you like go for the design. Like somebody, let's say a nightclub will have more like a vibrant social media because youngsters will be more likely to go click on it. But let's say like a very old brand or like a legacy brand will have like formal colors
yeah.
because they want people to take them seriously. So, in terms of that, what do you think design says?
So design per se, definitely there's a, like you said, a gap between the two. So if you're talking to a younger generation, it is always more vibrant, more colorful, more direct approach. Vis-a-vis when you're talking to a little older audience with a legacy brand, it is subdued. It is uh, more with the thought process of the older generation,
Yeah.
what they would like, what they would not like,
Yeah.
and so on. So if you take that approach today, it's difficult to differentiate those aspects.
Yeah.
Today the younger generation is on social media or on digital platforms. At the same time, the older generation is also there.
Yeah.
So in terms of design, in terms of colors, in terms of the approach for it, I think it is now the brand that stands out or want to attract will start using more colors. Whether you are a legacy brand, whether you're a new age brand, you have to stand because there's information overload today,
Yeah.
especially on the small screen aspect. I would talk. Uh, so because there's information overload, you want to up your competitor in one way or the other. So So it could be way of communicating, it could be way of using brand colors, designs per se.
So now you also see that social media has evolved to video content a lot more.
Yeah,
So then, what would you say as a designer? Do you still believe that design plays a very vital part, like statics or carousel, still play a very vital part in like social media promotions?
I would say I would agree to your point on that. Ki, like, do they really play an important part? Statics, no. If it's information based, yeah. But if you're talking about a product or a service, and you want to reach out to our audience, then static doesn't play. People are now looking a consumption pattern which is easier for them to grasp.
Mm.
Static, you would have to read the content.
Yeah,
Again, the screen is small,
yeah.
the content is heavy, you're about to skip it.
Mm.
But if it's told in an audiovisual format, it's
Mm.
easier to grasp.
Oh, yeah.
And with the earlier audience, I would say that like the older generation, when we were talking about in the early aspect, the attention span was say
A lot more.
30 seconds to 1 minute or so.
Yeah.
Now it's come down to 15 seconds to 10 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes even like 5 seconds, and
Yeah,
it's like it's
so you
not
have to
working
tell a
out.
story in 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
Yeah,
So people are not going to read for 5 seconds. Of course, it will take the same amount of time to read the content
yeah,
if it's 5 seconds or 10 seconds. But people are lazy enough to do that. Now people want something that's very spoon fed, which I
yeah,
would say that
yeah,
it's directly not even like opening the mouth. They want the mouth is always open. You just have to
yeah.
feed it in that way. So that's why the audiovisual format now is like more picking up. It's more conducive to the brands and services.
People are more receptive to consuming it.
Yeah, because the attention span has gone down. So that you
Yeah,
can't control that. If the attention span has gone down, now how to use that attention span and talk about your product or service is the marketeers and the agencies and the teams have to decide.
so now, keeping this in mind, what do you think? What is the role of design in creating a brand now?
Yeah. So a designer's perspective, if on that would be, yeah, they could be, see. It is not that the audiovisual format can't be like don't have design or anything like that. Everything is by design. I would say that.
Yeah.
So even a storytelling aspect of 30 seconds or 15 seconds is by design because you have to design as an agency. Also, you have to design that communication piece in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So if talking visual terms, definitely maybe use of colors if it's shot in certain way, the use of brand colors, the use of I would say the tint of the communication would work more favorable towards the brand if it's done that way because then it colors are very receptive to anybody. You see a color, you kind of register it.
Yeah. Like when every time I see red, I think of Zomato now.
Yeah, every time you see orange,
Orange, I think
it's
of
Swiggy.
Swiggy now.
So the colors are, so in that terms, if you say design, how design influences, the color of the brand definitely influences. Today, like if you're watching anything on Instagram or any other format, if you see something orange
Hmm.
or something with the orange
Yeah.
format, there's a high chance you start associating with that brand.
Yeah.
And that's how brand play design into the communication. They do not directly talk about the color, or they do not use direct colors about it, but they use subtle positioning or subtle implementation of color in such a way that it directly links to the brand.
Okay. So other than colors, there's nothing else in terms of design, like let's say typography or I don't know, placements or what else? Like,
Say example, if you're doing a 15 second reel, out of the 15 seconds probably 13 seconds would be actually a audio visual
hmm.
communication.
Yeah.
The 10 seconds would be, or sorry, no, 1 or 2 seconds would be where the brand would come into the play.
Hmm.
Maybe use end slide with a brand color or so on and so. But now people, marketers and agencies have started thinking in a way that rather putting an end slide, why not push the color into the communication?
Right.
So if I don't want to show Zomato directly, but if I'm showing something that's a red bag, gifting it to
Yeah.
somebody, indirectly it is showcase that Zomato is placed somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Because they've pushed that color that much that it's now
Yeah.
okay. But
So
what about the
typography won't
smaller
miss.
brands then?
Smaller brands will have to establish that. See, the uh, the big brands have the money to spend in traditional media as well,
Yeah.
and that's how they can register more. The smaller brands have to do it consistently. They have to have a brand color theory at least when they're communicating, whether they're doing static post, whether doing carousels, whether doing the audiovisual reels. It should have a similarity in terms of at least colors in one way or the other. You don't need to have direct colors every time,
Yeah.
but a hint of it, a touch of it, a placement of it
Right.
showcases that it is somewhere connected to a brand. And that consistent approach would definitely associate the brand with a certain color palette. It once it starts registering, it is Vaseline for that matter.
Hmm.
I think if you take that, blue is there.
Yeah.
So even I think in the Instagram or social media for that matter, I think Vaseline uses hint of blue.
Hmm.
They may not show the exact Vaseline bottle blue,
Yeah.
but they'll use a lighter blue. They'll use
Yeah.
a little darker blue than that, maybe. So that's how they would start pushing it in.
Right.
So typography, I would say that it's very difficult to say that because the screen size is too small, so you can't play with the typography. So your typography is limited now, which is legible, has to be legible on the screen.
Yeah.
So the placement of that or the play of that is going to be a little difficult. So people use a consistent typography, which are now more consistent with the audiovisual format.
Hmm. Right.
But do you think that any of the brands you've come across that are you very consistent in using brand colors, brand theory, in the color theory in social media?
Yeah, I think it's better if you define your colors and you stick to them, because the more you change colors, the more the brand recall is sort of there's like a confusion that happens. Like already as we spoke, the attention span of like people is so in general has become very less.
Yeah,
So it doesn't make sense to continuously change colors. And I now brands have started actually like we discussed, Zomato, Swiggy, Vaseline, and so many numerous other brands, like they have their colors, and we actually do think somewhere subconsciously we do think of them, and it does play a part in having that brand identity in place,
yeah,
whether it's video or audio or traditional media ad, anything.
and colors are very easy to recognize. So
Yeah.
you may not read the complete brand name.
Yeah.
That's how the color theory works
Yeah.
everywhere, whether it's a social media or whether it's a traditional media, across the media.
Yeah.
It works in a way that a color is very consistent, and color is irrespective of your class, creed, education,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So you can understand the color, you know what
Definitely.
color it's associated with. So Coca-Cola red has been there for 100 years.
Yeah. That's another great example.
Yeah, that's a great example. Like they never, I think, they try to go out of the way
Yeah.
because they know around 190 countries,
Hmm.
190 plus countries, Coca-Cola is known by the red color. So if
Yeah.
I see a Coca-Cola, anything that's red with a
Hmm.
Coca-Cola this thing swish,
Hmm.
probably I know it's Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I may not able to read what is written
Hmm.
because in traveling from India to any other country, if it's written in their regional language,
So you can
as a
make
brand,
out that it's Coke.
yeah, if the name is written in their regional language, I'm not able to read it. But because the way it is written and the way the
The
colors is there,
or even
consistency
the
of the brand,
logo, right?
yeah,
So
consistency of the
even
brand is
yeah.
important.
So let's in that manner, I think Nike logo also,
Yeah,
like
Nike.
that's one of the most iconic logos to have ever, like
Yeah,
it's such a simple tick, but it's everywhere. Like it is a brand, that tick represents, like everyone knows it now.
you see that adaptability of that logo as well.
Yeah.
Today, that adaptable logo is numerous. It can be on a signage, it can be on a shoe
Yeah.
as well at the same time. It can be
Yeah.
just on a bag. and you instantly recognize it.
Exactly.
On a shoe, nobody looks at a shoe, but that swoosh on a
Hmm.
shoe, you see it from a distance.
Yeah.
You know it's Nike without reading it as Nike.
Exactly. But what do you think about, like, now a lot of brands are trying to make their logo minimalistic, like how
Yeah.
Jaguar did. So what did you think of that? Like, is it really
So
worth
Jaguar
it?
had a lot of backlash.
Yeah,
A lot of
but it
backlash. I
looks
think.
bad.
Okay, it looks bad, uh,
But it got
but
marketing. That
ha,
is still
that's
marketing.
yeah, yeah. But if you actually look inwards, not outwards, like
Hmm.
for a whole lot of audience,
Yeah.
it killed the perception of what Jaguar was.
Yeah.
After looking at the logo, like
Yeah.
it it went here and then dropped dead
Yeah.
down. So it's like that. It happened. But if you look at the vision of the brand, which is going for the next 100 years,
Hmm.
then that's up. They're going more of a retro modern design or retro futuristic design.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen comics in the 1930s or 1940s when they talked about.
I don't think so.
Uh, no, that's why I said comics. I didn't see you.
1930s, 40s comics, which.
Yeah, yeah. When it came across how the world would look in 2030s, 2040s,
Hmm.
the kind of imagination, kind of illustrations, the kind of design that was done
Hmm.
is what Jaguar is doing. They're taking inspiration from that,
Okay.
and that's how this thing. So they are looking inwards.
Hmm.
We always look at the visual aspect of it. Oh, a Jaguar, which is like a leaping cat, and all
Hmm.
of a sudden, very
Hmm.
masculine brand, all of a
Yeah.
sudden gone very neutral,
Yeah.
or onto some audience as well, very feminine as well,
Yeah.
for some audience.
Yeah.
But if they're looking inwards, they'll more. And if you've seen that example of the car, what they had revealed during that time, also, it was very neo-futuristic,
Hmm.
very clean lines, very over the top bonnets,
Hmm.
very long. It
Hmm.
was not no, anywhere today's supercars and
Hmm.
are there, or
Okay.
brand language is there. So their audience is the next generations, next 30, 40 generations which are going to
Even the
come.
next generation doesn't really like it.
The, the audience which is not born, I'm saying that, that's why.
Oh.
But the generation beta, which will I think start in 2026,
Hmm.
that it's for them, not for
Okay.
the generation of millennials and alpha and whatever.
Okay.
So that's how the brands take color. So colors also in that aspect, social
Yeah.
media would differ.
Yeah. But don't you agree, overall social media content has become, like, not maybe from a brand
Hmm.
promotion, but has become minimalistic in the way the people use it. So, like, earlier we used to have,
Screen
like,
size, I would
not
just put it
screen.
very bluntly, screen sizes have made a lot of difference to the brand,
Okay, how?
because the screen sizes are smaller.
Hmm.
At one point you were like 40 by 60 100 holdings. You had a
Hmm.
television sets up to say 108 inches or so. We still do have,
Yeah,
but the consumption on those medias are
it's
less. Now your
reduced.
consumption screen size is only 6 inches, 8 inches, 12
Hmm.
inches.
Hmm.
So you have to look if those brands look better on those screen sizes. That's why brands are going very minimalistic in that approach.
So I think this was a wonderful chat about
Yeah, I
design
think
in social media, and
let's see in the next episode what we discuss about it.
see you then.
Bye.
Don't
Cut.
upload this.